Hello everybody, my name is Rachel and welcome to my channel Kalanati. Today I'm going to review Young Woman in a Garden Stories by Delia Sherman. This is a collection of 14 of Sherman's stories that were written from 1986 to 2011, and this collection, her first and only so far collection, was published in 2014 by Small Beer Press. Also, as a point of interest for some of you guys, 6 of the 14 stories were originally published in the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction, which I recently did a video about if you want to know more. I don't think that Delia Sherman is very well known. I don't think that her name is very recognizable to people, at least of my generation, even though Sherman is a pretty big name in like the urban fantasy, mythical fantasy era of like the 80s and 90s. So I kind of want to quickly talk about how you might know if you would like her work, her style, and the types of stories that she tells. If you're a fan of authors like Jane Yolen, Charles DeLint, Patricia A. McKillop, and Ellen Kushner, and maybe any author who's written for Terry Wendling's Border Town series, you will like Delia Sherman. She's written with all of these people. Also, Ellen Kushner is Delia Sherman's wife, and they co-wrote the third Riverside book, The Fall of the Kings, together, which is where I was first introduced to Delia Sherman. So if you like Riverside, if you like Ellen Kushner, that type of story, that type of fantasy is very much what I recognize in Sherman's work as well. And that's how I discovered her, and I was mightily impressed. The title story, Young Woman in a Garden, reads kind of like historical fiction with a magical twist when a young woman is researching a 19th century impressionist painter and the unusual domestic situation he had with his wife and his supposed mistress. The Ghost of Kumlik Manor is a wonderful steampunk fantasy ghost story about a young heroine, a ghost of course, a ruined inventor, and lost treasure. The Red Piano is a chilling story with horror overtones about a professor who buys a house that is linked to her neighbor's mansion with matching red pianos. La Fée Verte, which is a French title I don't know how to pronounce, is about high-class whores and fairy seers in Paris during the Franco-Prussian War and the rise of the French Third Republic. Walpurgis Afternoon is one of my absolute favorites from this collection, and it's a contemporary story about witches discovering that they are witches and a house that appears overnight in the middle of a historical neighborhood. There are stories set in Victorian and Elizabethan England, sacred harp shape note singing, alchemy and printers, cursed rubies, lighthouses, and perhaps ship figureheads come to life. I think there's just a little bit of everything. Oh, and don't forget the story about the female naturalist studying mermen. That was very interesting and a little bit disturbing, but really good as well. A couple of these stories also feature lesbian characters, though I wouldn't say that sex or sexuality are strongly present themes across the collection. They do figure prominently in a couple of the stories. And there are a lot of women, young and old, single and married, upper class, middle class, low class, rich and poor. They're excellent female characters for everybody. What I was most impressed about overall with this collection is how Sherman shifts her style and her voice to match each time period and genre of story that she's telling. I'm not an expert in style and how writing and language have shifted from era to era, but I could definitely tell that Sherman was hitting the right notes with creating the voice and the atmosphere of each story that matched what I expected from that kind of time period or that kind of genre. For example, one of the stories, The Printer's Daughter, takes place in Elizabethan England during the lifetime of Shakespeare, and I recognized a lot of specific words and phrases being used were Shakespearean. I recognize some of the words being used because I've read Shakespeare plays, and so the dialogue and that feel just worked really well. Sherman takes these small moments from her characters' lives and weaves a story around it and slowly unveils the magic in a lot of the stories. The magic is subtle. It's there, it's present, but I wouldn't call this like high fantasy. It's not what a lot of people think when they hear fantasy. It's not like George R.R. Martin type of fantasy. There's not elaborate world building. There isn't lots of explanations of magic systems. It's just there most of the time, and characters either accept it or don't make a big fuss about it. And the magic parts, the fantasy parts, are not necessarily the point of each story. This is a delightfully written collection. I think it's very strong. All the stories feel pretty distinct, I have to say, even though when I put them all together, they feel like they belong in this collection. And I'm very impressed that even though there were some stories that didn't work as well for me, I liked all of them by the end. I didn't feel like there was a dud or a particularly weak story in any of these. If this sounds like your kind of thing, the title story, Young Woman in a Garden, is available for free online, and I will link that down below so that you can read it. I read that story, like I said, and went straight out to buy this because I thought it was so good, and I hope that more of you will consider picking this up. I hope this review was helpful to you guys. I'm definitely going to be going out and reading more stuff by Delia Sherman, hopefully more of her short fiction. And if you've read any of her stuff, if you've read this collection and you want to talk to me about it, please comment down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.